you've spoken about that no woman in politics is actually questioned, attacked on her policy making. It's everything else.
Yeah.
They'll talk about, you say that they'll talk about what she wears, how she speaks, whether she's very aggressive. How has your journey been in this? And
So
how
when-
do you take it?
I take it with a pinch of salt because I know that the sexuality of a woman is used to ensure that she defocuses from her strengths and from her ambition or her goal. In 2014, I remember when I became Minister Education, there was a huge attack on me, and which is a part and parcel of politics. I think the blow was twice over also because I was the youngest and I was a female. Imagine the audacity. Plus, I was not from a politically pedigreed background. Plus, I did not have the nuanced way of doing politics, of endearing myself to fellow media professionals in Delhi. I remember distinctly in the year 2004, Jaswant Singh ji then invited me for a cup of tea and said,
You
you know, if you
mentioned that.
want to survive in Delhi, make sure you have a few journalist friends. I was 27 at that time. And I just looked at him and thought, why would I need to cultivate journalists? I'm here to make policy. And I still remember that smile of his. He said, you'll learn. Now, 20 years post that conversation, I'd still not learned. Because I truly believed that if I go to my place of work and I apply myself to engaging people from all walks of life, listening to every perspective possible, and then coming out with a document which is acceptable by all for the greater good. I had the privilege of drafting the foundation document of the National Education Policy. I spoke to all previous serving education ministers of the country. I listened to every voice, even my colleagues in the UPA, in the Communist Party, where people said, you wouldn't listen to communists. Why not? Listen to everybody. Irrespective of that, it is a steeper climb. I still remember a gentleman that, and I will not quote that gentleman now because the issue is under investigation. I had caught a gentleman break the law from an academic establishment. I received a call to see that gentleman and to see him in my office and hear his part of the version out. Now, I was not the investigating agency. I had no wherewithal to decide what he's saying is true or not. The judgment would be on the basis of evidence. The gentleman walks into my room in Shastri Bhavan and speaks to me for 5-10 minutes and suddenly says, well, if you ensure that I get out of this mess, you will have a happier life in Delhi. Else it's going to be tough. Now imagine speaking to a cabinet minister. He thought he's academically so profound. I told the gentleman to take leave of my office. He scurries back out, calls somebody I know in politics and says, you know, she threatened to throw me out of the window. I was a bit intrigued. I got an immediate call back. Did you do this? Why? Because by then, Lutyens was a buzz that I'm temperamental. And I was a bit flummoxed. I said, could you send somebody senior with this gentleman back to my office? They come back in half an hour. I said, can you look in my office? They looked. They said, why? And the gentleman who had threatened me was quite perplexed. Why am I invited back? He thought I'll possibly apologize and mollycoddle him. I didn't. I said, just look around. Could you come back in 1 week? They said, what are we looking at? I said, my office has absolutely no windows. So, but I invite the gentleman back after 1 week. By then, I had requested CPWD to make a window. I called the guy back. I said, look, window. And next time you threaten me.
And you think that...
So I've had those experiences.
No, but that's because, do you think that...
Do you think they would go to a pedigreed political female leader and say this to her? Never. I've had a person sit opposite me as a cabinet minister say, आप मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी में आई है, लोग आपको अनपढ़ कहते हैं, मेरे साथ खड़े होकर फोटो खींचे, लोग आपकी तारीफ करेंगे. Would you say that to a man? Would you say that to a woman of political pedigree? You won't. You can take a pot shot at me. Because I was audacious enough to say, I will come to this city on my own terms, I will make policy, listen to everybody, not mollycoddle egos, and get the job done. I'm not here to make friends in my office, I'm here to serve. Now that sounds very tough from a 37-year-old. Tougher still when you're 27? Absolutely. So I think gender is not the only complexity women come with. Their age also matters. When you're young, you're audacious. When you're old, you're a hag. Never gets easy.
And has it changed? Has the attitude changed?
Not at all. I have offices with windows.